Morning, everyone. It's great. I'm saying morning. It's 9 o'clock in the morning here. I'm sure for some of you it's the evening and the afternoon and goodness knows what else. Graham, it must be 10 o'clock at night. And we'll have various other time zones. So thank you all for showing up. I really want to, later on at the end of this workshop, I'd really like to get maybe one or two people on as volunteers so we can do a bit of a kind of a live session and put some of this stuff into practice. So have a think about that. If any of you feel that you'd like to get on and maybe do some work together and see if we can actually show some live breakthroughs for everybody, that could be really exciting. Have a think. If you're keen, let Ella know. Ella, how do people do that? Can they private chat you?
Yeah, if you can just put in the chat box, if you select 2 and select Ella, then I'll be able to activate you later on. It's awesome. Great.
Okay, cool. So, limitless thinking is the topic of the day. The reason I think this is a really good, it's one of the transformational abundance coaching principles that I want to talk to you about. And the reason I started with this, and I really think this will have a lot of value for you guys, is that so many of you speaking to me tell me that you are, I guess, suffering or struggling with energy blocks. Now, let me just ask, actually, we've got the chat box open, so just a bit of a poll here. Number one, how many of you would say right now that energy blocks are something that's getting in the way of your abundance results? And also, at the same time, let me know if that's an issue for you, let me know in the chat box. But also, what do you think needs to happen for them to go away? What do you think needs to happen for your abundance blocks to be gone, to be released? Hopefully people know where the chat box is. I know it can be a bit difficult on mobile phones, for instance. Okay, so Carol says, yes, I need to process the blocks to release them. Adriana says, I need to get rid of self-limiting beliefs around money. Cool. Ajaya, I think, I have to believe in myself more. Joe, I need to find my path and a way towards my path. RC says, I have blocks, I need to walk through them. Aisha says, increase your vibration. Megan says, I need to escape from the past. Emma says, yes, definitely have blocks, but I am working on them. Now, I'm going to feel free to keep posting, guys, because I will keep reading. But one thing, gratitude, yeah. Graham says, I still feel I have imposter syndrome. So here's the thing. So all of these answers with the blocks, excuse me, just one sec, just got to grab something. Grab some water. So yeah, all the things with these blocks, the way people process this, the way that everybody talks about it, it sounds difficult. Somebody just said, dare to change. It sounds difficult, it sounds confronting, sounds like a battle, like an arm wrestle. And I think in many ways it is. I think a lot of the time when people are releasing blocks, it's kind of arm wrestling with yourself. And obviously if you're arm wrestling with yourself, your competitor is pretty good too. So it's a battle that's very, very difficult to win. So the way I want you to think about energy blocks today is through this filter of limitless thinking. Okay, so imagine that you were the size of a thumb. Imagine you were the size of my thumb, for instance, and you were walking along a path and you came across a rock. Well, you're going to be completely blocked on your path, because that rock, not only is it going to get in your way so you can't get past it, but it's going to be virtually impossible for you to move it out of the way, to roll it over. So, and it's going to be hard to climb over and all of those things. And so the more you fight, the more you battle, and the more you struggle to get that block out of your road, the harder it's going to become, the more frustrated you're going to become. And at the end of the day, you're probably just going to give up. You're going to become defeated. And that's the thing with the battle metaphor. I've talked before about how if you're living a metaphor of a battle and a fight, defeat is part of that metaphor if you're not careful. So changing that around, imagine you switch from the size of your thumb to the size of a giant. All of a sudden, when you become a giant, that rock is now a piece of dust, and it's not even relevant. And that's why the approach I want to teach you today, the things I want to talk about today, allow you to make the blocks not something that you struggle with and you have to release or battle with, but something that just becomes irrelevant, becomes so small, so minute, so tiny that it's just not an issue anymore. If you think about when you were a baby, when you were born, there were things would have bothered you, and as you started to grow up, age 1, 2, 3, 4, things would have bothered you that today are just irrelevant. You wouldn't even think about them. I don't know what that would be, but really annoying little things that nowadays you wouldn't even occur to you. So limitless thinking allows you to grow your mind and your consciousness to the level that the things that used to block you are suddenly irrelevant. It's like the ultimate energy blocker. And one of the things I'm going to get to today, I mentioned this when I sent you a message earlier on, is that there's a secret. Everybody talks about the secret to success. What is the secret to success? And I'm sure you're very well aware there's lots of secrets. There's lots of secrets to success. But there's one thing that actually scientifically and in real practical terms, above all else, is the thing that will decide whether you're successful or not at a particular venture, running a business, even kind of life and death stuff. In a life and death situation, there's one thing that's going to decide whether you're successful. Does anybody want to again jump in the chat and maybe have a bit of a guess as to what this most important secret to your success is? What's the difference that makes a difference? I'd be interested to see what you guys say. And to be honest, if any of you get it right, you should probably be teaching, not me. Self-confidence, mindset, the expectation of success, believing it can happen, your mindset. These are all great things. You could add discipline, you could add focus, self-confidence, service to others. These are all good, and they are all very relevant. Dreaming it's happening. Yep, there's that creativity thing. Being clear about where you're trying to go, perception. These are all great, but the thing is, here's the big thing. They're really all symptoms of something else. Vijaya has to go back in 20 minutes. See you later, Vijaya. Not a problem. We'll have a recording for you anyway. Vijaya is one of our Catalyst coaches, so Vijaya, we'll have a recording for you in the Catalyst section later on. I promise you. So don't worry, you're not going to miss anything. These are all symptoms or effects. They're not causes. There's something that causes all of these. Okay, and I'll talk to you about that later on, because there is a secret. There's a big secret, and I'll talk. I'm not going to go there at the moment. It's something that you pick up for yourselves. But the secret to success that I'm talking about today, this is really tangible. This is something that's been proven, and I'd like you guys to think about that for the next few minutes. We'll come back to it, and I'll explain how it works. It's all the things that you've said. It is the mindset, the focus, the positive thinking, the self-confidence, the perception. It's all of those things. Expansiveness, gratitude. It's all of them. But they're symptoms. They come from somewhere, and I think you'll be very, very surprised when I explain what that is. As a coach, as somebody who brings out the best in people and lets them, and helps them to expand, one of the things we do is we take the pictures, the images or whatever, however you want to think about this, the perceptions that people have inside of themselves, and we help them to change that. We help them to grow or to develop a bigger picture. So for instance, let's say somebody has an image in their mind. When they go internal and when they start processing their thoughts, they have an image of themselves sitting somewhere, maybe at their table in their home, and it's their apartment, and the apartment is small and dark and cold, and it's in need of redecoration, and there's a stack of bills sitting on the table. So it's just kind of a negative picture. One of the things that we do as a coach is we help the client to create a different picture, another picture, and in the other picture it could be that suddenly it's a big beautiful home, and you can see the ocean in the background, and everything's bright and happy and warm, and now on the table, instead of a stack of bills, there's a stack of money or love letters or something. It's a different picture. And that's great. I think if you're the kind of person who has that kind of coaching mentality to life where you help people to see a better picture, to see a brighter future, as it were, that's wonderful. But what's really wonderful, where unlimited thinking starts to take hold, is when that picture changes and it actually starts to move. You know, it's a moving, growing thing, so that you don't just give somebody a new image or a new vision of their future life. You give them something that they can hold in their hands that actually starts to grow, like a tree, like a garden, and it moves. It moves, and it's clear that it can grow and grow and grow, and it doesn't have a frame around this picture. It's infinite. It's endless, because you know, I've always taught people, I've always believed that inside of your mind, inside of your thinking, is not just this cognitive machine. You know, it's not just this video recorder of events or whatever. It's very much a place or a structure in which you can go to different places. And when you understand that your thinking is a place, everything changes, because you can start helping yourself, but you can also start helping other people to go to different places, to have access to a different path, to a different internal reality. And their feelings, their emotions, their energies become places that they go to. It's a very, very powerful way of expanding thinking. Okay, so with that said, have a think about your internal reality. When you think about yourself and your life and your future, have a think about that internal reality and what's it like at the moment. Is it a good place? Is it changing? Is it growing? Is it expanding? Is it becoming brighter and happier every day? Is it becoming more abundant every day? Because once you know, as a coach, once you create that for yourself, once you create that for somebody else, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay, it's moving in a certain direction, and it gets better and better every day. So I just want you to think about that, because being stuck is a place as well. If you think about it, there's something called deep structure. You know, deep structure is like the quantum level idea that I was teaching you guys recently, where what you see in your current reality, what you talk about, you know, watching me now, listening to my words, whatever's going on around you, the things that you're thinking about consciously are really on the surface. They're on the surface of things, whereas deep down there's other stuff going on. So if you find yourself saying the words "I'm stuck," that's, you know, it has a clear meaning, and I know what you're talking about. And you might say, "I'm stuck, I'm blocked, I'm in a hole, I can't get anywhere." But deep down, deep structure wise in your consciousness, you're in this place that is going to be very, very difficult to get out of. And unless you take a different approach, and unless you start using this limitless thinking approach to life, because if you just tell yourself, I'm going to go to a different place, I'm not going to be stuck anymore, that may work, it may not. Okay, and there's ways to approach that, and you know, that's a whole other realm, because what I'm teaching you today is principles. Okay, this is really important, because that's what people need to get started, is principles. And this principle of unlimited thinking is massive. It's a complete and utter game changer if you take it on board. But the tools, the techniques that come with the TAC approach, which is the transformational abundance coaching approach, those tools and techniques are endless, but they all, like the tail of a comet, they're all attached to the comet, which is the principles. If you understand that inside of you there's a place that you go to, and if it's a stuck place, you just need to go somewhere else, how that's achieved step by step, and you know, using the techniques and the tools, that's not a problem. But getting the understanding of the principle always comes first, because principles never change. 100 years ago the principle is the same, and 100 years from now the principle will still be the same. People would have come up with new techniques and new technologies. People, I dare say, 100 years from now will have new understandings of spirituality and cognition and everything else. But the principle will not change. It can't. And a lot of this has got to do with what's called glass ceilings. You've probably all heard about glass ceilings. It's a great example of a structure of thinking. You know, famously, glass ceilings are applied to the idea that around the world, globally, throughout history, even today, men and women get paid different amounts of money for the work they do. So a woman doing the same job or doing the same work as a man will get paid less. On average, throughout history, throughout geographical region, whatever. And, you know, the glass ceiling research was the research that was done into working out why this happens. And I'll talk more about that later on, because the secret that I want to share as to, you know, the secret of success, the secret of abundance, the thing that's going to make the biggest difference for you is very closely related to that whole glass ceiling idea. So it's kind of a clue, and we'll come to that in a minute. So all of these things are important. The gratitude, the mindset, the positive thinking, the energy, all of these are important. But, you know, what's really important is something else. And I'll share with you, many years ago now, and this was probably around the time when I really started to put this together and really figure out how this works. And I think when you hear it, you'll see it too. It will surprise you, but you really will see this connection, because I was teaching a group, a training group at the time, talking about coaching, and somebody at the back of the room, Teresa, she put her hand up, and she was like a PhD in business and economics, so very, very smart woman, and very knowledgeable about the business world. And she asked me the question, and she said, Ed, you know, I can't remember the question, but the point she made was, there's this research that she'd read in the Harvard Business Review, and it was a meta study. Basically, a meta study meaning that lots and lots of people had run the same research project and kind of compiled the data. So it was a big study, and it had found out again and again and again that when it comes to business, when it comes to the business world and what makes business people, it was actually about individuals like executives, business owners, what makes one person successful and not others. When they did the analysis and they actually figured out what is the big thing that makes a difference, do you know what it was? You'll probably guess some of the same things from earlier on, as well as kind of business knowledge and experience and all of those things. It's still the mindset and the positivity and belief systems and all of that stuff. But what it really was, the number one thing was mentoring. Okay, when they analysed it, all of the business owners and executives that met the criteria of, you know, money, happiness, promotions, etc. So all of the people that met that criteria of being successful, they all shared one thing in common. They'd had great mentors, and they'd had great mentoring experiences. Okay, now this again is related to that secret of success, that this kind of works the same in life in a different way. It goes to a different level. So another conversation I had with somebody, actually a business coach many years later, was about a similar kind of question. Okay, when you are either seriously ill, or you've had a major operation or a major illness, what do you think is the number one indicator of survival, that you're going to be okay, that things will be okay? What's the number one indicator of survival, of getting through? What do people think that is? Because that was the question that someone asked me. And when they told me, it blew my socks off, because it fitted with, it joined so many dots, it brought so many things together when I understood that. Optimism, yes. Gratitude, yes. Attitude, yes. Mindset, beliefs, all of these things. But again, symptoms, really interesting. Rehabilitation, it's all the technical things. Obviously, if you need a certain medicine, prayer, meditation, or all of these things, support, they're all great. But here's apparently the answer, and I've seen this since. Rachel said a coach, kind of. You're on the right direction, but it's beliefs. But what's really interesting, two really interesting things. Number one, it's not just your belief as the patient, whatever. It's actually your medical caregiver, your doctor, physician, surgeon, whatever. It's that person's beliefs. It's remarkable. So if you're in a serious medical situation and your doctor believes that you're going to be okay, that is a good thing. That's a really good thing. Luckily, when I had my eye operated on earlier this year, I had a detached retina and had some quite kind of emergency surgery. pretty heavy surgery. Luckily, my surgeon, Dr. Sean, was very, very confident, real confident surgeon with a bit of a swagger to him, to his manner. And, you know, some people say about, you know, when you're good at something, you shouldn't be too confident or you shouldn't be too arrogant or whatever. Honestly, if I've got a surgeon operating on me, I want them to be as confident as possible. And if they've got a swagger about them, and if they're like, I'm going to do a great job here. He actually told me he'd done an awesome job in his words. I'm happy with that. He apologised. He said, sorry, I shouldn't say that. I said, look, that's exactly what I want to hear, that you did an awesome job. Thank you. But isn't that amazing? Isn't that remarkable that if your doctor believes you're going to be okay, that's the biggest indicator that you will be. And they don't. And the other remarkable thing, they don't have to say it. It's not just about suggestion. It's not just about them telling you that. She or he has to believe it. Because if they're saying, yeah, you're going to be fine, but they're kind of shaking their head and looking doubtful at the same time, that's incongruent. That's a mismatch of energy, and that's no good. It's got to come from the deeper beliefs. It's got to come from their deep structure, that there is a belief in the place in their consciousness, their relationship with you in that deep consciousness is that they imagine you going to a place of recovery, to a place of strength, of health. And if they have that belief structure in place, it's a really big indicator. Now, it leads to very interesting thinking when we're talking about limitless thinking, because it's how far can that go? I mean, it's amazing, amazing thought. If you think about it, the things that might be blocking you now that we talked about earlier on, some of those beliefs and energies that are blocking you from the abundance that you seek in life, what if they were just irrelevant because your thinking became so big, so expansive, that it was that speck of dust that you just flick away. It's not, you don't have to fight these blocks anymore. You don't have to release these blocks. You just flick them away like a piece of dust because they're so tiny in your expanded, unlimited thinking and consciousness. That's where I really want to go with this. The doctor-physician example is a strong one because I researched this afterwards, and there's if you ever heard about cognitive biases, we have these subconscious biases. It's basically a psychological term, whatever. But as humans, especially in the modern world, we are bombarded with information. We have information overload all the time. I've seen the statistics for it. I'm sure you have. It's like in an average morning, a human being will be exposed to however many million different messages and ideas and concepts, and it's everywhere. We have so much information coming at us these days, literally in the air, you know, from computers and Wi-Fi and whatever. There's information everywhere. We are constantly overloaded, and so one of the ways that the human mind deals with overload or anything really is it looks for efficiency. Your mind looks for efficiency in its thinking, simplicity, keeping things simple, keeping them as simple as possible. And one of the ways we do that is through biases. And sometimes these biases have really unfortunate consequences. We all know, you know, some of the biggest problems in the world today are caused by racism and sexism and hatred and, you know, stuff that's caused by people's biases for simplicity and efficiency, looking at people in the world or looking at the world and trying to make it simple. And one of the ways that they make it simple is by saying all people who are such and such are dangerous or bad or stupid or whatever. And that simplicity mechanism, that bias, prejudice, causes so many problems. And this is one of my biggest beliefs I'd like to share with you. I hope you'll take this on board, is that psychology and the study of the mind, whether it's kind of scientific, psychological study of the mind, or the kind of work that we're doing in the personal development world, where we really are looking to innovate and find other ways to help people transform and change in a more day-to-day applied manner, I suppose I would say. One of the things that's really important is there's a negativity. There's an inherent negativity that I find in the world. When I studied psychology, I found there was a lot of limitation, the opposite of what we're talking about today. So limited beliefs by the experts. Okay, and this is the problem. This is actually the fundamental problem. So if you have a famous professor who's teaching psychological principles, and that famous professor is coming from a place of limitation, you can't get anything from it. ultimately, you might get some theoretical knowledge, some facts and figures, but you will not expand, you won't grow, because the person teaching you doesn't believe that that's going to happen. And a lot of psychology, or a lot of science when it comes to human potential and personal development, a lot of the science is based around problems and issues and what's broken and what's limited. You know, abnormal psychology, that kind of thing, and a lot of the famous experiments are about bad things, you know, bad things that can happen and things that limit human beings. And I just think that's a terrible, terrible thing. If the person teaching you comes from a place of possibility, and not just possibility, but infinite, unlimited possibilities, that creates a space in which remarkable things can happen. So cognitive biases are a great example. I read something the other day. So in short, there is a bias. There's hundreds of thousands of these, and one of them is called physician's bias, and it explains exactly what I said earlier on, but in a real negative way. And I read something about biases, and it says, you know, biases explain how bad things can happen. But actually, that made me stop and think. That made me think: is that right? Is that true? Or could we maybe look at that in a different way? Because physician bias is always describing a limitation. By the way, so is glass ceilings, always used to describe limitations. So with physician's bias, it basically suggests that a lot of people around the world that come from certain ethnic groups or certain financial demographics, certain social backgrounds, certain intellectual levels, certain people do not get a fair go medically because of something called physician bias, in which physicians are making judgments about somebody based on things that have actually got nothing to do with their health, but they make subconscious. This isn't a nasty kind of intentional thing. This goes on subconsciously, but their biases, the physician's biases, are causing them to maybe not give people the treatment that they deserve and need because of other subconscious assumptions that are being made. So the idea that if your physician doesn't think you're going to do well, you probably won't. If your surgeon doesn't think you're going to recover, you probably won't. There may be a technical aspect behind that, but there could be other things going on. Now, that's pretty negative. That's pretty scary. It makes people angry because it's unfair. You know, it could be that there are unfair things happening. And just to bring into the conversation there, the whole glass ceilings experiments and research, all concluded that the belief systems, the biases that were causing women who were doing the same work as men, better work than men, shouldn't say that, but you know, you get the picture. They were trying to find out where's this conspiracy, who's causing this, who is making this decision to pay men less than women. And what they found out, that it was a subconscious thing. They couldn't find the documentation in companies, you know, big Fortune 500 companies. They couldn't find the documentation that said men should be paid more than women. This was going on in people's minds, that it was a bias. It was happening subconsciously, and not just in the male employer or whatever. It was also going on often in the female employee's consciousness, that there was a limit, there was a ceiling. And that's really interesting, because again, it sounds negative, but what about when you flip this around? What about when you switch this to the point where I'm going to smash these glass ceilings? They're going. We're going to expand that, and not only are we going to expand it, there's not going to be a ceiling. We're going to change the metaphor completely. What happens when physicians, for instance, start to be trained or start to train themselves in the art of thinking expansively, of thinking in an unlimited fashion, and starting to not just wait and see what beliefs they have about their patients, but actually deciding to create the beliefs they have about their patients, to create new beliefs? What about when your local physician starts adopting the thinking mechanisms of an Elon Musk or Steve Jobs or whatever? When a physician starts to consciously, through training, through coaching, whatever, what about when that physician starts to think like a genius, which doesn't actually take as much as you'd imagine? It's just a strategy. It's just a structured way of thinking. What happens when your physicians start to believe more in their patients? and become coaches, become like transformational coaches rather than just medical practitioners. So they've got that brilliant technical knowledge and skill and experience, but they actually bring the genius of a coach to bear on the same picture. And what if everybody learned how to do that in terms of cognitive biases? So we've all got a bias of a glass ceiling. Well, most people do, because most people, without knowing it, deep down in their consciousness, have created a ceiling as to what they believe is possible. How much can I earn? What's the most that I can earn financially? What's the most I could expect my health to improve? What's the most I could expect to achieve in terms of my relationships, my business growth? And so what happens when we start to change those biases and acknowledge that human beings do have biases, but actually you could choose them, and you could choose to structure them in a way that gave you the best possible chance and opening to achieve what you want to achieve? Because people try and label. Label is a bias. Somebody will label you with a word, and that represents their bias or the cultural bias. But if you don't want to accept that label, if it's a great label, and you like it, that's wonderful. Someone might label you as a free spirit, and you might be like, I like being a free spirit. I'm going to internalize that into my deep structure, and I'm going to be a free spirit, excuse me. But they might call you something else that you don't want. I don't want to be that person because that will limit my thinking, and so you don't accept the label. So what if biases were something you chose? So, for instance, they say people are either a pessimist or an optimist, or something in between. What if that's nonsense? I'm a passionate optimist. I'm obsessive about optimism, not in a unrealistic way. I've got completely different ways about how I think about optimism and what it means, and I'm hopefully sharing some of those now. But I think it's a choice, and sometimes it's a very difficult choice. If you're in a dark place, if you're struggling, if you're blocked, it's really hard to just say to yourself, I think I'll be an optimist. But inside of your structure, your deep structure of your consciousness, there is a place that you can go to which is optimistic. You can go there step by step, following the strategies, following the steps. You can get yourself to that place, and suddenly you've got a different bias. Because that thing about, if you think you're right or you think you're wrong, you're right. If you think something good's going to happen, it will. If you think something bad's going to happen, it will. Because in life, everything goes up and down. We have a good day, bad day, good day, bad day, good chapter of our life, more painful chapter of our life. Things go down, things go up. The optimist simply looks at the good bit and says, that's where I'm heading. And the pessimist simply looks at the low bit and says, that's where I'm heading. It's just a bias. So what if we start to choose these biases and to, like I said at the beginning, not just two pictures, optimist, pessimist, but actually a growth in which one's shrinking and one's expanding. One's getting darker, one's getting brighter, one's getting smaller, one's getting bigger, one's getting louder, one's getting quieter. And you actually start to structure your beliefs in that way. And I know I'm only just kind of touching on some of the technical aspects of this, but I really hope it's opening up, like I say, not just possibilities, because possibilities isn't strong enough. It's got to be something unlimited, something infinite, just like the universe expanding. Really quick story that just to highlight that whole labelling thing. Here in New Zealand, I hope we've got a few Kiwis on the call today, I'm sure we do. But here in New Zealand, you may or may not know, our national sport is rugby. Rugby's kind of like a religion in New Zealand for a lot of people. So, you might not be sports minded, but if you are, you probably know about this. Like in America, in the US, the baseball and basketball, football, whatever. In Canada, hockey's the big game, and everyone's got their national sport. Over here we have rugby, and there's a rugby player, famous rugby player called Aaron Cruden. I'm sure it's Aaron Cruden who is the fellow I'm thinking of, but he's a very famous player, very successful. But here's the thing: when he was young, he had cancer. He was a young player. I think it was right at the beginning of his professional rugby playing career, and so he had cancer. It was testicular cancer, and not a good thing. Very, very serious. And so at that point in his life, of course, he would have been labelled as a cancer patient, cancer sufferer. Now, when someone gives you that label, you decide in your thinking, your consciousness, what does that mean to you? It's a pretty powerful thing. I mean, I'm not in any way ever going to make light of that. It's a label. You're giving that label, and there's obviously the medical issue. There's the physical aspect of that, but there's also consciousness-wise, what do you do with that label? Now, and do you have to have a label forever? Because what's really interesting is the expansion of the thinking, the biases that the label gives you, and how you expand that thinking. Because he recovered, got back to playing rugby, and obviously was then known as a survivor, cancer survivor. It's another label, and this is where the label becomes very, very interesting, because is that just two pictures, as I said at the beginning, two images, cancer patient, cancer survivor, or is there something going on? Is this organic? Is this embryonic? Is this label something that can grow and change and expand into a whole other kind of bias? Because you can call Aaron Cruden a survivor if you want, but he went on and became an All Black. The All Blacks is the name of our national rugby team, and there's nothing higher, I think, in New Zealand society for a parent than their kids becoming an All Black. Aaron Cruden became an All Black. He won the World Cup. He had the most successful team in the world at the time, and he got to the pinnacle of his profession, his path. He walked his path and got to the pinnacle of that. So you can stand there and label him as a survivor. Actually, he's an elite. He's a winner. He's as in New Zealand, he's as high a social level as you can get to in that way. And so my point is, you can get stuck in a label, you can get stuck in structures of thinking, you can go to places in your consciousness that are limited, or you can really kind of change that around and do something different with that. And so the point I'm making with this belief structure is, whether you're going to be successful or not at what you want to do, whether you're going to be financially successful, professionally successful, everything else, whether you're going to get to where you want to be and be truly abundant, can come down to somebody else's beliefs and how you are internalizing those and how you're working with them. And so coaching, for me, coaching is just a magical thing, because as an abundance coach, you have an unlimited thinking mindset, not just for other people, but for yourself. So when you are deciding whether or not you're going to be successful at a particular venture, where do you go for your belief system, whether it's going to work or not? Because you might say it's mindset, it's beliefs, it's positive focus, but you personally, when you're deciding, will I be successful or not? Will this business work? Will this relationship work? Will I get what I want in life? Am I going to be happy? Where are you going to get the answer? Because almost certainly on some level, you're looking for permission from somebody, or you're looking for a belief of some expert, some kind of validation, some kind of something just happened on my screen. I'm sure it's all okay. Looking for some kind of, does somebody believe I can do this? Is it a parent? Is it a teacher? Is it an employer? Is it a mentor? Whose beliefs are impacting what's going to happen to you? Because at this point, now that you understand what you understand, is a great moment to say, well, I really want to be in control of that myself. I want to be the one who believes, and to make a decision, I'm going to succeed at what I want to succeed at. Because that's when we start to grow this expansive, unlimited thinking outlook. And it's really, really important. Okay, and a great way to look at this, if you are a transformational coach yourself, if you are by your nature, by your decisions and your consciousness, if you are an abundance coach, if you're abundance minded, and you are going to be this energy of unlimited thinking for other people, you start to create a flow in which the most amazing things happen for you as well, because you're part of a bigger consciousness. Now, what do I mean by that? When let's say, for instance, here's an example. If you see a seed, just a little tiny seed, what do you think? What do you think about that? Most people think that's a seed, and they say, yep, that's a seed, so I'll just leave it where it is because it's a seed. But if you have an unlimited thinking mindset as a coach, you see an oak tree. You're like, that's not a seed, that's an oak tree. And what happens when you have that bigger, unlimited belief? You plant it, because it's an oak tree, I may as well plant it. And if you've got a really expansive mindset, you're not planting an oak tree, you're planting a forest. You know, you're helping the planet to breathe again. You're healing, and things get bigger and bigger. And so it's easy to think that you are thinking expansively in that way, but it's amazing how we get trapped. I mean, imagine you say to the seed, hello seed. And the seed's like, oh, hi Ed, how are you doing? That's fine. But that seed does not get anything from you. Whereas if you walk up to a seed that thinks it's a seed and you say, hi oak tree, that seed suddenly is like, oh, hi Ed. That seed suddenly, subconsciously, energetically, spiritually, everything knows that you believe that seed can be an oak tree. And the seed starts to feel like an oak tree. It's like, why not? I could be an oak tree. That would be great. So you walk up to a seed, and also this is to do with source code. I talk a lot about source code, but you walk up to a seed and you say, hi oak tree. And the seed says, well, no, I like your thinking, but actually I'm just an apple seed, so I'm going to be an apple tree, much smaller. So yeah, thanks for your unlimited, optimistic, abundance coaching thinking, but yeah, I'm just an apple tree. So you walk up to the seed again and you say, hello orchard. Ah, I see. So I don't have to just be an apple tree. I could be an orchard, you know? Yeah, you could be an orchard. You could grow into a big orchard. People could come and stand in your orchard and feel happy and feel peaceful and have good ideas and, you know, eat the apples, and you could throw an apple on someone's head so they have a really great idea. You know, this expansive thinking can go anywhere. And then, as I think you notice, there's a lot of creativity here. So when you go into these places and you start creating bigger, unlimited, growing, organic structures in your mind, there is an aspect of creativity to it. So, you know, an abundance coach is not just a step-by-step, you know, practical skills-based facilitator. There's you know, that's so tiny a piece of what this is. I hope you can see this is a really, really creative journey. I'm hoping this is helping, guys. What are you guys getting from this so far? Like, what I really want to do is to find someone that I can kind of chat with, and we can do some applied work so that you can see some of this stuff in how it plays out in reality. But what are you guys getting from this so far? What can any of you just let me know in the chat? You know, what's your biggest takeaway or your biggest breakthrough so far with what I've shared? It looks like there's a few conversations going on here, so I wait for that. There's a delay on the chat, by the way, guys, so I have to wait a few seconds for things to come through. I don't know if everybody gets the delay, but I do. Cool to go for the apple tree and see it as an orchard, yes. Because it's that simple. You know, this whole idea, Vijaya, thank you for sharing that. That whole idea, you know, I think one of the issues I have, I'm kind of passionate. I know how this plays out, and I know how big this can get for people. It's not the unlimited thinking thing is not just a principle in terms of, you know, what a lovely idea. This works, and it works very, very fast. But we're all trapped in these thinking structures. We really are. And when we discover our source code, often we think, well, there's only a certain level I can get to with that. And it's like, no, it's not even. All of us, we're all guilty of this. We all have biases. We all have, as somebody, Graham just said, blind spots. If you and you know, I just see the magic in people. When Graham says often it's easy for other people to see your blind spots, if you see blind spots in other people and you say that's obvious, it may not be obvious. You may have a skill that you don't realize you have. That's the great thing about this. The apple tree idea, yeah, you discover your source code. I'm an apple tree. We all. And that's wonderful. What a wonderful thing to know. Most people have no self-awareness, quite honestly, when it comes to personal development. When you start to see who you are and what lights you up, and what the gift that you bring to the world, when you start to get there. And that doesn't take long. Once you start to see that, that is a wonderful breakthrough. But there will still be limiting beliefs and limiting thought structures around that you need to break out of. That's just a fact. And my belief, like honestly, my honest, genuine belief is when you become a coach, not necessarily, sticking a sign above your door saying, professional abundance coach services offered, but someone who brings that into the work they do and someone who brings that into the life they live. There's no higher level. There's no higher level of putting this into action and getting results. Because people think they're an apple tree. No, they're not. They're an orchard. Like I say, we're all guilty of it. I'm not pointing at anybody in particular. But it does sound like you guys are getting some great benefits here. The seeking permission, we seek permission from our doctor to let us or our physician to tell us we're going to be okay. Honestly. So when one day I'm fine, and next day I've got all these spots on my eyes, and it's like, wow, something's gone wrong there. It's pretty scary, and my vision started to close up like a curtain, excuse me, across my eye. That's pretty scary. And so when I'm sitting in a room with a bunch of doctors and experts, and they're looking at all these different things on the computer and taking pictures and measuring things, after a few hours of that, I'm kind of hoping that they're going to give me permission to be okay and to say, no, you'll be okay, it's fine, we can do something. So we all do that. We all look for the voice that tells us it's going to be okay, we're going to be successful, we're going to get out of the hole, we're going to get unstuck. But that permission can come from within, and has to ultimately anyway. So I don't want to go too far down that line, because it's a whole other principle. There's a whole other area that we're moving into there. I really want to focus today. I don't want to shortchange you guys. I want to make sure that when it comes to this one abundance coaching principle of unlimited thinking, that you really get it and you really get something to go away and kind of run with. So is there anybody on the call, Ella? I'm just going to mute myself while I cough for 1 second. Is there anybody on the call today, Ella, who is happy to get on and do a bit of a hot seat thing and be a volunteer, and we can maybe work on a goal or something like that together? Especially someone who feels they're a bit blocked and want to work on releasing a block. Vijaya says she'll jump on, so are you able to sort that out, Ella? And it'd be great to see Vijaya again.
Yeah, just a second. I'll just send her a message. Just a moment.
Thanks very much. Because I think it just helps to do something practical where you guys can have a different kind of aha moment, an aha moment where you can see yourself. Yeah, I could do this. I can help people in this way. I can take this into the world, because that, for me, that's the biggest breakthrough of all. Hi Vijaya, how are you today? I think you're muted. We'll have to unmute you somewhere. Wow, you're in Florida. That's like, oh, let me see if I can unmute you. I don't think I can, because I don't think I'm... Oh, you might have to do it yourself. Hello.
There we go. Hi Ed. It's been a while.
Hi Vijay. It has been a while. How are you?
I'm really doing super.
Really well.
Thank you so much for all the work you've been doing for all these years.
No, it's awesome. It's making me blush. So, look, is that a green screen thing behind you, or is that actually a beach you're on in Florida?
No, it's a green screen.
Oh, okay.
I am 20 minutes away from the beach. Yes.
Yeah. I thought so.
To here.
I thought so. So, but actually, it's making us all very happy. It's great. It's great scenery. So, Vijaya, what should we work on today? What is the next breakthrough for you? What do you need next?
So many great things are here. That's why I jumped on, because I really don't have a clue. Working with joint venture partners, a number of them, they have huge lists, and putting it all together and supporting people. My book is going to be out my book chapter is going to be out in September. I have no clue what the next stage is. I used to be able to say, what's the next stage?
Yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey? Why don't you, because I know you, but maybe most people don't. So on this call, so why don't you tell people a little bit about what you do, or your story, or what your book's about, anything? Anything at all?
A few years ago, this was last year in September, we moved from New York, my partner and I here, went through all the housing crisis, the home was, repossessed, and I thought I had fears in my head and I had to really work on them. That was fine after 23 years. So the financial, but it didn't happen. Nothing happened. My business kind of grew, my coaching, abundance coaching, and the business that I was in, I am in, it's growing, and it's like, wow. The group online programs are growing. Really, really happy. Found a good marketing mentors and team to take care of the website, so that I could do less, involved work and do more the coaching that I like to do in creating content. So it's really great.
So your success story, Vijaya, you like,
I
you come on and tell me what we were going to work
say
with, but you're kind of...
Yeah, I believe it. I'm an incurable optimist like you. It is like, wow, but then there had to be a channel to bring it out. And I find listening to your audios and videos, and it just like stimulates the thinking, it's like, wow. And working with the intelligence of the body, I'm a mind, body, spirit coach. I mean, it's like, wow, let's take the emotional intelligence and the body intelligence and, create something awesome.
Yeah.
So I don't know what else I can say. I jumped in because I really didn't know.
Okay, well, that was really kind of you, and it's great to hear, because I always wonder how people are doing and how they're getting on, and we hadn't chatted for a while, and I think some of those business challenges were maybe happening last time we spoke, so that's great. You've obviously had a great 6 months or year, whatever it is. So can just tell us just while you're on, Vijaya, because you're such an abundant spirit, and I think people will get a lot from this. What's your personal message to people? I mean, because you actually, when I talk about abundance coaching, often it's something that people take into their world, and you wouldn't even know that's what they did. You just get this energy from them. But with you, you've actually gone in the direction of that's what you're doing quite specifically. But what's your flavour? Who are you working with? Who do you help? What's your message to the world?
I work with stressed out, burnt out business owners, or professionals, and help them find clarity, fearlessness, and inspired action. How do you see something when you don't see it? But there's a way to reach forth into your intelligence, and it's just there wanting to talk to you. And it's like, how do you find that? So I work with people who have done it. I've seen it, but then we focus on a whole different perspective. It's like a paradigm shift. I know every Colgate or every toothpaste has a paradigm shift these days, but I love that when you said that in one of your videos. But it's really true. The human being is the paradigm shift.
Oh, yeah. And the wonderful thing about paradigm shifts, Vijaya, as you know, it's that they can happen so quickly. People struggle for years and years and years, and then they say, "Oh, I tried everything," and then the thing they try last is the thing that works. It's amazing. But as a coach, you can kind of get people there quicker, which is a relief. When people are struggling, they do go to that place of, "I've tried everything. There's no point. I'm going around in circles. I've hit a block, hit a brick wall," and you suddenly realise, yeah, but you can get a hot air balloon over the brick wall, whatever. There's things you haven't thought of yet.
Yes.
And I think you highlight that really well. Does anybody else want to come on and chat with me and Vijaya? We can have a mastermind. We can have 3 people. There must be somebody who feels that maybe Vijaya's energy is the right kind of energy that might be able to help them with a particular challenge or goal.
I work on being. I'm so excited about the beingness, and it's right there. And when you see it, it's like, I never saw it coming. And that's why all this talk on, how can you have success from within? Yep. I actually slipped out 20 minutes because we have a regular meditation, EFT tapping call at 5:15. And, it just showed people all those dreaded thoughts. 99.99% is so untrue. Yep. And I find when you tap, it's just like today we finish in the fastest possible time. Done, and it's like, wow.
Yeah. And so here you are, Irma would like to jump on. Is that okay, Ella? Can we do that? we'll wait and see if Ella's able to get Irma on the call, and because often what happens with abundance coaching, or just in general, when you're helping someone, it's an energy. Someone will be like, people say, Ed, I really like your energy. I'm sure you could help me with something. And, to be honest, some people say, Ed, I do not like your energy. I don't want, it's too much, too optimistic. I don't want that. And so, and it's not a rude thing. It's just different energies attract different people. And so we have Irma. Hi, Irma.
Hi, Irma.
We might need to just
Hello there, you okay?
Hey,
Hello there.
Where are you, Irma?
I am in Leeds. I'm in the UK.
Yep.
I'm in Leeds.
My best friend lives in Leeds.
Okay, okay.
What's the name of the I can't remember. Yep. Say hello to Vijaya, Irma. I'll mind out of the way for a moment.
Hello there, Vijaya. When you came on, at the moment I work with children with special needs. So I go around and I work with practitioners to support the children to reach their full potential. But as you came on, you remind me of one of the ladies who I have a really good relationship in one of the nurseries. But when you were talking about, mind and spirit, I just wondered, what do you mean by that? Because I feel I'm quite a spiritual person, and I think that's what really caught me when you said that.
Well, thank you for that brilliant question. I'm a deep meditator, and I've known Ed, and I've been doing this abundance training. I find that there's some universal principles, and Ed lays out quite a lot of it in his courses. That it's all our thinking. Our feelings come from our thinking, and that when we think there is a problem, there is 100% a problem. But when we look at it as an opportunity, and even if it's like, you have a rough relationship with someone, and you don't know what to do, but it's only your thinking. Your feelings are just your thinking. And you're trained to think in a certain way about situations and people, and it's your father, mother, teacher, trainer, your father, mother, teacher, trainer, right? It's your whole generation, and it's none of your business. Somebody calculated, 95% of all the thinking that we do is not ours. It's somebody else's. About abundance, about money, about so many things. And then when we can really see, and especially tapping, I use a lot of tapping to see how much of nonsensical thinking we are thinking and believing it to be true. It's not true. And that is what when I mean that when you suddenly see, it's my memory. Yeah, and when that drops, you are in a spiritual state because it's a state of mind. And you're like, oh, that was just my thinking. I really believed in it. That fear, the scary thinking, my health and whatever the future. The future it's an incomplete equation. It hasn't happened yet. So do you not plan for the future? Of course you plan for the future, but knowing the vital ingredient is not there. Your being is not there. And when it's there, you'll have ideas. That's why I took on the call with Ed, because he said, I have the faintest idea what. Do you see that, Irma?
No, honestly, thank you so much, because I now use everything that happens. What am I being taught? And I've only just started to think like that. What am I being taught? What's the lesson here? So that's how I've got to look at it, and it does change how I react to situations. But I'm truly grateful. Well, thank you, Ed, and thank you, Vijaya. Thank you.
You're welcome. Be completely in gratitude, totally irrational. But when we're in gratitude, we just hit on the wonderful idea.
All the time. I have my gratitude. Yes, I write my gratitude journal every night. So I've got to do it tonight when I come off this call. Yeah.
Hey, Irma, before you disappear, can I have a quick word?
Yes, you can, yeah.
Your audio's freezing occasionally, so it's fine. So it unfreezes.
It's a bit,
Yeah, that's fine. So I've got a really quick question. Can you share?
It's a bit dodgy.
Could you share with me and the attendees here today at the workshop? Can you just tell us a little bit about what you do? You said you worked with special needs children. What does that? What kind of things do you do?
I work with preschool all children who have special needs. So I work with some children who have been diagnosed with autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, global developmental delay. So I go in and I assess the children, speak to the staff, and if I need to write a report for funding so that they can get a bit of extra money to work with the children, either do more training or get different resources, then that's what I do. And then I'll go in and just sort of support them to see what else they need to get the child to reach to their full potential. So we work together, and I'll set outcomes and targets and things for the children. So, and I do training as well.
So do you work for like Leeds City Council or something like that? Is it? Who's the actual employer?
Yes, yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Leeds City Council. Yeah, education. That's what who I work for.
That's awesome. That's amazing, Irma. That really
Thank you.
That's great. And can I give you?
Thank you.
Can I
Thank you.
Can I offer you to come on our abundance coaching program as a gift? Because I'd love to have you train with us.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind. Thank you.
Because what you've said is, I have this little kind of scholarship thing that I do occasionally. We do it with our training here in New Zealand with coaches and stuff. It's a very occasional thing, but it's a very clear kind of criteria, and we don't do it all the time. It's an occasional thing. But if somebody is working with children in a way where there's kind of an immediate impact, where you can actually learn these skills, we can teach you things, and you kind of immediately take it into that world, that's something that's really, really valuable to us. And
yeah,
I'd love if you would, if I could gift you the abundance coaching program, and you come into our group and we'll teach you what we know, and you can maybe come on another call later and share some success stories and tell us about how you're using it.
Oh, thank you. We're truly grateful. Thank you for that. That's very kind.
No, look, thanks so much for coming in. Some cool things happen when we all get together like this. Some really cool stuff. So Ella, could I just ask you to connect with Irma and make that happen, if that's okay? And we'll get Irma into our group and get her trained up in abundance coaching, because she's obviously already doing amazing things. And if we can add those extra skills and everything else, I think we're going to get some great stories for everyone to listen to, and that warms all our hearts, to be honest, because that's what it's all about. It's all about these ripples.
Thank you.
So Irma, Ella will connect with you, and thank you so much for coming on, and we'll get that sorted out for you. And obviously, Vijaya,
thank you, and thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you, Vijaya, for being the kind of the one handshake away from helping us there, because that's a great connection.
It's so wonderful to be part of this whole team. I'm so looking forward to seeing you, Irma, and the group. I hope many of you join in too.
Thank you. Thank you. That is so kind. Thank you.
No, that's great. I'm still trying to think about whereabouts in Leeds my friend lives, but I will. It will come to me later on. So this is great work. Vijaya's vanished. I was going to get Vijaya back for a moment, if possible. Can we get Vijaya back on? I shall catch up with you soon. It's been really lovely connecting. I just want to acknowledge, Vijaya, that you just spontaneously jumped on, because I know earlier on you left the call and you came back and you spontaneously jumped on and showed us your energy and brought us that connection, and we saw you do some really kind of awesome work just in a few minutes there. What I want the group, that we've got however many people on the call here, just in the chat, I'd like everybody that's on the chat today that witnessed Vijaya doing her coaching and connecting with somebody in that really wonderful way. I want you to do something that we always do. We always do this with our coaches. I'd like everybody that's here today, if you could, to just type into that chat box a word or a phrase that you believe encapsulates the energy or the truth or the deeper nature of who Vijaya is as a person, as an energy. What in that few minutes, what you've sensed from Vijaya, what are the words that jump in for you? You've got amazing, very moving, positive, warmth, contagious, open-hearted, love, authentic, open,
Oh, this
fun.
is so fun, guys.
Fun. There is fun. True. Are these helping, Vijaya? Spiritual.
It's what people, but the thing is that I just kind of feel you're the mirror. If someone says I love and fun, you're the mirror. I'm just mirroring all of you.
Yeah.
And it's just so nice to be authentic and true and who you really are in the world. If this is how you'll find me.
Yeah.
Some people may like it, some people not. I just do your best.
But look, it's still coming through. Very nice demeanor, spiritual, gentle, has a beautiful soul, and it shows. A people person, beautiful soul. So two people saying the same thing, warm. So all these things are coming through, Vijay. I just think never miss an opportunity as an abundance coach, Radiance, never miss an opportunity to have that mirror held up for you and to just take some of that source code back in, because I think all of us are guilty of this. And it was something I mentioned to Graham earlier on. We can all be guilty of not seeing the obvious, of not being open to seeing what it is that gives us personally the uniqueness, the greatness that allows us to be part of this flow. Because to have that unlimited thinking, to go to places in your consciousness where you can be at your best and you can be at your highest level and still growing and still evolving, it's not a hard work thing, it's not a struggle thing, it's an openness thing. It's being open to, when someone puts up a mirror and says, Vijaya, you are a beautiful soul, it's just accepting that in and bringing that in and saying, well, they've seen that, they're allowed that belief. It's not for me to say they're wrong. It's for me to say, well, it's their truth. So why shouldn't it be part of my truth as well? Some beautiful words there. Giving out and taking nothing back from Lizzie. It's beautiful stuff.
It's just that's exactly how I feel about this, groups that, have this always running, and, it's just so beautiful. Take the opportunity to get on the hot seat.
Yeah, but we'll do it again soon, and we'll get some more people on. But we've been going over an hour now, so I want to give people a break. And I think it's been what I've tried to do here today, guys. What I'm trying to do here is to really pick a principle, one of our principles, unlimited thinking. For someone like Vijaya that's been studying this for so long now and living it, it's obvious. It's obvious your mind can expand. It's obvious you can go to more and more and more and more levels, and it never stops. But to a lot of people, it's not obvious, or even if it's intellectually obvious, they can't access it. And so today's been all about that one thing. Just be aware there's always more. If you live that energy, people will pick up on it, and you'll find that what you put out there, what you radiate out there into the world, it comes back as abundance in every possible way you can think of. So I'm probably going to leave it there now. Vijaya, thank you so much for coming on. Ella has got a slide, and we'll see you soon. Enjoy Florida, enjoy the sunshine, and I hope things are going okay. Then there's a lot going on, so I hope things are okay for you, Vijaya, and for everybody. I hope you're all doing okay in this current climate and things are okay.
Hi everyone, my name is Ella. I am the Chief of Operations at the Art of Optimism. So I work really, really closely with Ed and the team. What can I say? Today was amazing, absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for jumping on and being a part of such an incredible community and learning and growing together. I think the idea of becoming a coach is still very new to you, if you're unsure about that, or whether you're like, I am an abundance coach. There was something for everyone in that call. So inspiring. And like I said, thank you for joining and being a part of this incredible space. Special thank you to Vijaya and Irma as well. You guys are amazing. I think Vijaya is an incredible example. As Ed mentioned, she's been part of his abundance coaching. So she's done Ed's training, she knows his courses, and she's a shining star of what is possible. She now owns her own business in Florida, so she operates that from there. Whilst we're in this space momentum, I really wanted to talk to you about an offer we have available today, which is so exciting. So like I mentioned, you've seen Vijaya as an example of an abundance coach, and we wanted to give you guys the opportunity to do exactly that as well. I really want to emphasize this offer is super unique and special, and it covers all of Ed's incredible training programs. To give you an indication of what some of those are, I'll start with Catalyst. So Catalyst is all about the law of attraction and the skills and techniques that we can use in order to obtain a goal.
what's so awesome with this as well is that you can help others do the same thing. At the same time, it covers ultimate financial abundance. How awesome is that? Coming from a place that's also heartfelt with true purpose and passion. Additional to this as well, as part of this whole collective package, is Josh Roche's quantum mindfulness. Now, we all know it's great to have these big goals and think big picture to get where we want to go, but it's those daily rituals and habits that are so essential to getting there. So by practicing, I do it myself every morning. Josh's quantum mindfulness, his meditations, it really helps you to get in that right energy space in order to just lunge forward and get going. Additional to these programs, and please know there's much more, but additional to this, there's our next special invitation call. So this is going to be on rapid transformational techniques. This is how you instantly remove those big blockages and allow that positive breakthrough to occur. Now, this is exclusive, and this is also in that really like-minded individuals, awesome community space where we can all grow and work together. Which is really exciting, because sometimes it can be overwhelming if you're just given this, amazing abundant package. So we can ensure that we are on the right path and we move forward together, that real action mindset. So today you've seen the power of abundance, haven't you? The art of abundance. It's amazing. And I need you to know this is just the surface. This is only the tip of the iceberg. My own personal experience, I've worked with Ed for many years. I've done multiple different of his trainings and courses and used his techniques, and I can honestly say it is absolutely transformational. It's been such a huge fundamental element of where I am now in my life, and I just have so much gratitude, and I'm so excited for you to be in that space as well. So what I wanted to do is tell you about the signing up process. So basically, as I mentioned, you get those incredible programs plus the bonus training calls as well. Here's the website that you can see on the screen. So just to confirm, that's abundancecoaching.live/now, abundancecoaching.live/now. Again, we've got a really wonderful, generous discount just today, just for you, to thank you for being a part of this community. And we really just want to have some action. We know now is the time. When else? It wants it to be affordable, because otherwise it's not attainable and we can't collectively get there together as a goal. So it allows you to get on your journey straight away and fly to the abundant, most successful version of you. It's time for action, and I'm so excited. I can't wait to meet you in person and see you on the program. Thank you so much. See you soon. Bye for now.
Ella, I might just get you to put that slide up for a second, if you will. There's a page. I know a lot of you have been asking me questions privately and putting stuff through about becoming an abundance coach yourself and doing that stuff. There is a very, very special offer at the moment. You can probably tell with me, I'm passionate. I believe in this stuff. I think the changes that we can make by approaching the world from an abundance coaching perspective. We've talked a lot today about the concepts, and you've seen how we do things, but the techniques, the tools, the processes where you get yourself to a higher level, a higher consciousness, and it just becomes part of your life, and you make a difference for people, like a genuine contribution in the world, a genuine opportunity to do amazing things and to be more than rewarded for it. Personally, bias, my bias, my way of thinking, it's something that there's nothing like it. It will be life-changing in the truest possible sense of the word. So if you're keen, there's a URL for you. It's abundancecoaching.live/now. That's abundancecoaching.live/now. If you're keen to jump on board and just become part of this and actually learn professional training of how to be an abundance coach, how to be a TAC practitioner, and to take it to the highest level. So other than that, I just want to say thank you so much to everybody. That's good. We can let the slide go now, Ella. So I'm just say goodbye to everyone. And I hope you've enjoyed yourself, everybody. I hope you really have got something special from this. I know Irma did, and Vijaya really enjoyed getting up and shining her light for everybody. I've got a lot from it. This is just wonderful. I love hanging out with you guys and doing this work and sharing. But I hope you all individually, I hope you got something very special from this. I hope more than anything else that something has opened up in your mind that won't close. it will stay open and it will get bigger and bigger and stronger and louder and brighter. I hope it's the starting point of a period of growth and expansion and elevation that is going to take you to extraordinary places. That's what I always hope. I know it can. If you want it to, I know it will. And yeah, I catch up with you guys again very, very soon. And thank you all so much for your time today. And thanks Ella and Kirby for being here and helping out and making sure everything ran smoothly. It did seem to run very smoothly. Thanks guys. I'll catch up with you all again very soon. Have an amazing day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. And we'll catch up soon. And I wish you all the abundance in the world. Catch you soon. Bye-bye.